10 o'clock. Oh. There we go, I'm here. So I am going to call the meeting.
North Korean, sir.
I am going to call the meeting to order, and I will try to talk softly so I don't offend the microphone. Would you please stand and join me in the flag salute? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public notice statement, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, Commissioners. Adequate public notice has been given pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice having been posted to the Board's office and website, and emailed to the Department of State and to newspapers of broad circulation within the state.
Thank you. And roll call, please.
Commissioner Holden?
Here.
Commissioner Solomon?
Here.
Commissioner Shivakula?
Here.
Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
President Fidelisa.
Yes. At our next regularly scheduled meeting?
The next regular board meeting will be on Wednesday, July 13, 2022, at 10 a.m. It will be a hybrid meeting at the board hearing room at 44 South Clinton Avenue, Trenton, and live stream via YouTube.
Thank you. And I just want to reemphasize what the Secretary said, the fact that, our meetings are hybrid, but we certainly, again, invite the public to attend in person. In addition, of course, to having it streamed, it is always nice to see folks attend. So please feel free if you want to have an hour or so of laughter. Please feel free to attend in person and so on. So we will be having an executive session today. The board will be addressing clean energy item A in the matter of contract deliberation with Rutgers University. And if the board will take action on this item in regular session. Executive session, I would imagine, is going to last no more than 10 minutes. Will the Attorney General's office please read or explain the justification for going into executive session?
Good morning, President, Commissioners.
Good morning.
As you indicated, item 8A on today's agenda falls within the contract negotiation exception to the Open Public Meetings Act, and so is appropriate for executive session this morning. The exception in the statute is found in New Jersey Statute 10:4-12B7.
Thank you, Michael. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anyone who is not a member of the BPU, I'm going to ask you to please leave. And as I said, it shouldn't be any more than 10 minutes. That's it? Okay, we are back in public session, and I do have a few remarks before we get into the agenda items. And first of all, I'd like to welcome back two of our former members, part of the BPU family, who for some reason didn't like us enough and left. And that's the Honorable Cynthia Holland. And I call her the Honorable because not one, she is, but two, she is a council member in the town of Verona. And Ken Sheehan, former chief counsel, former chief of staff, and I think you used to vacuum too, didn't you? So welcome back. It's good to see both of you. Thank you. June is, among other things, because every month has to be, has to recognize something. Just like every day has to recognize something. Like, today has to be the recognition of something. I don't know, anybody know what it is?
Good Grooming Week.
Good Grooming Week. Okay. That's it. And good Teeth Hygiene Week. I don't know. I mean, it's something all the time. But June is Trench Safety Month. And this week, for those of you who celebrate Trench Safety Month, I want to remind people in the utility and construction, and this is serious, I don't mean to make light of it, construction industries to practice safety and education today and always as they proceed in their given trade. Thank you to our Division of Reliability and Security, who has worked, who has this week joining the National Utility Contractors Association, OSHA, and thousands of workers around the country promoting safety around worksite trenches and excavations, and sharing information about excavations and the hazards related to them, reinforcing the importance of using trench protective systems and protecting workers from trenching hazards. These people who work in these areas are the ones that you see out there an awful lot driving down highways and so on, who are performing vital tasks for our convenience. And I see some of them on the highways, and they're much braver than I, because of the way people drive and so on. And it also brings to mind the 811 call, call before you dig. Too many accidents occur when people don't do that. And it really is hazards that can cause lives. So, very, very vital to do that. PJM auction, despite recent delays, PJM held its base residual auction for delivery year June 1, 2023. I'm pleased that the auction resulted in a lower carbon resource mix, which will ease New Jersey's transition to a clean energy future. Also, as far as RGGI is concerned, more states are looking at RGGI in the area, and it seems to be growing as the federal government also gets more involved in the clean energy initiatives that we see throughout the country. So there are positive steps that are occurring as far as our environment is concerned. I just want to recognize the fact that Commissioner Gordon will be having a birthday on Sunday, and I I've been told that he is going to be old enough to drink legally. As of Sunday, is that right, Commissioner?
I believe in the Celsius scale, so I'm going to be 21.
21. Whatever floats your boat. I mean, you do what makes you feel good, right? So happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
And as you all know, particularly those who work for the BPU, you have Monday off. I have gotten that, I've signed that executive order that on 4th of July you have off. So you have a safe and fun-filled holiday weekend. And let's remember what it's all about. You know, we get tied up with holidays, whether it's Memorial Day or 4th of July or whatever, and forget really the importance of celebrating those days. And I think 4th of July is one of the holidays that really we should rededicate ourselves to protecting and promoting our democratic process here in the United States. And there are forces internally and externally that would like to see that be changed. I, for one, am not one of those. And it's important for us to recognize how important it is to protect, because democracy is not free. Democracy requires constant protection and constant promotion if we're going to live under this type of system for another 240 years. So have a wonderful weekend and enjoy it. I hope the weather is good and that your barbecue comes out the way you want it to. Do any other of my colleagues want to make any comments? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to recognize my new confidential aide, Carlito Almeida, for those who have not had a chance to meet him. Carlito, you can stand. Carlito is someone I've known for a number of years. He has, despite his young age, he's got a very impressive resume. He was the senior legislative aide to Senate Majority Leader Weinberg, and actually last year ran for the state legislature. And I'm very pleased to have him on my staff. I know he'll make a great contribution to the organization. Thank you.
Welcome. Look else?
Thank you, Mr. President. And when you talked about Trench Safety Week, I looked up and I found Trench Safety University across the river in Morrisville, and they provide education on site.
Is that right?
Upon request. So I thought you want to keep that in the back of your mind.
I will. Anyone else? Consent agenda, Madam Secretary.
On consent agenda items 1A, 6A, 7A.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Ferlisa?
Yes. And that brings us to audits. Mr. Foley, you're on deck.
Thank you.
Now you're at bat, you're not on deck.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you today is a matter concerning the administrative costs submitted by the Department of Community Affairs for fiscal year 2021 for the Universal Service Fund program. On May 16th of this year, the Department of Community Affairs submitted a detailed report of their fiscal year 2021 U.S. administrative expenses. The report listed actual expenditures of $6,579,188, which was $1,052,088, or approximately 14% less than the $7,631,276 the board budgeted and approved on September 9th of 2020. The over-budget amount is primarily the result of lower than budgeted labor costs due to 5 vacant positions and lower payments to community-based organizations. Staff has reviewed the Department of Community Affairs expenses for the fiscal year 2021 and found the costs therein appear appropriate and reasonable for the administration of the USF program. Therefore, staff recommends that the board find the Department of Community Affairs has adequately justified the USF administrative expenses for fiscal year 21 and authorize the Department of Treasury to reimburse DCA in the amount of $6,579,188.
So moved. Second.
Comments, questions? As you know, DCA has been a partner with the BPU for a number of years, and we supply the funds and they supply the administrative aspect or part of that process, and continue to do so, and the system has worked pretty well over the years. So, roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Federlisi.
Yes, thank you, Bill.
All right, thank you.
That brings us to energy, and we have a number of different folks making presentations today, and the first one is Ian. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Mr. President. This is for agenda item 2A, which was pertains to ratification of comments that staff filed in a third docket on May 17th. So, background. On April 11th, 2022, the PGM transmission owners submitted a Federal Power Act Section 205 filing with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, proposing changes to Schedule 12 of the PGM open access transmission tariff. Specifically, PGM transmission owners propose to allocate costs to zones in which transmission lines are physically located.
Slow down.
Sorry, Commissioner, let's slow down. Specifically, the PGM transmission owners propose to allocate costs to zones in which transmission lines are physically located, also known as host zones, even when the degree to which customers in those zones benefit from the lines is minimal. So, under the PGM's current defects, this is under the defects methodology. So under the current methodology, zones are not allocated for any cost for transmission projects when the benefit they gain from those projects falls below a 1% minimum de minimis threshold, and this is known as the de minimis rule as a result. So the main practical effect of this tariff change would be the shift to approximately $226 million in additional transmission costs to PSE&G electric service ratepayer customers in New Jersey, which would significantly increase their transmission portion of their electric bill. So on May 2nd, 2022, board staff, on behalf of the BPU, jointly submitted a protest to FERC with the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel. Several parties also commented in the proceeding, none of whom supported the PGM transmission owners proposal. Indeed, even the very parties that would benefit the most from the proposed change asserted it would fail to fix what they claim are fundamental flaws in the transmission cost allocation methodology. So thus, on May 17th, 2021, staff, on behalf of the board, filed reply comments stressing that this total lack of any stakeholder support for the proposal provides yet another reason for FERC to reject it. Staff therefore recommends that the board ratify the reply comments staff filed in FERC docket ER 22-1606 on May 17th, 2022.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments for Ian? Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Federlisi.
Yes, thank you, Ian. Item 2B will be presented to us by Ryan Moran. Ryan?
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
This is
And,
agenda.
This is a BGS.
Yes. This is agenda item 2B. This matter relates to the final report submitted by Bates White LLC for the 2022 Basic Generation Service Auctions. Staff has determined that with the submittal of its final report, the contractual obligations of Bates White to the board regarding the review and oversight of the BGS auction process for the supply period beginning June 1, 2022 has been fulfilled. Energy Division staff has reviewed the report and found it to be complete. Staff recommends that Bates White's report be accepted for filing by the board and that the redacted version be made available to the public via the board's website. Staff also recommends that the board direct the Division of Treasury to provide final payment to Bates White for its work on the 2022 BGS auctions.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Brian? Nobody. Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Ferguson.
Yes. Thank you, Brian. And 2C, Dean, we have some rules here, or a rule.
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Staff is proposing to re-adopt with amendments the board's existing rules contained within the New Jersey Administrative Code Title 14, Chapter 5, titled Electric Service. The electric service rules govern the provision of electric service over the areas of construction, inspection, and maintenance of utility plant, the testing and accuracy of electric meters, and residential underground extensions, vegetation management, and the maintenance and preservation of records and accounts. Pursuant to NJSA 52:14B-5.1b, the electric service rules will expire on July 22nd, 2022. Staff believes that NJSA 14:5 is necessary and appropriate in that these rules help to ensure that New Jersey utility customers receive safe, adequate, and proper service at reasonable rates. On January 20th, 2022, board staff held a stakeholder meeting to address possible amendments to the electric service rules, any issues, and their effects on stakeholders. After the stakeholder meeting, the board received comments from the stakeholder community for a period of 30 days through February 21st, 2022. The readoption proposal contains changes to limit the scope of the definition of a major event, adds reporting requirements for major event reports, and codifies the New Jersey Public Law 2021, Chapter 29, requiring priority restoration of medical facilities, nursing homes, and assisted living facilities. The proposal also changes the time period of the CADI and safety performance metric standards from the average of the years 2010 through 2014 to the average of the previous 5 years from the reporting year. With regard to this change to a rolling 5-year average for the benchmark standard period, staff understands there will be a transition period once this change is implemented and recognizes that this change will need to be considered in evaluating utility performance. Staff recommends that the board approve the proposed readoption of this chapter with amendments for submission to the OAL and publication in the New Jersey Register.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Dean?
And I think the rules regarding major event, the changes, I think they're very important and timely. I think it's been a long time. We haven't looked at it carefully. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Ferguson.
Yes, thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Paul, you're up, and you will, I think, bring us to a conclusion of energy for a number of items,
Sure.
starting with 8D.
That
I'm
works.
sorry, 2D.
Good morning, Commissioners. On November 4th, 2021, PSE&G filed a petition seeking approval to implement an infrastructure advancement program and related cost recovery mechanism pursuant to NJAC 14:3-2A. In the petition, PSE&G proposed to conduct a 4-year program with a total investment level of $848 million. PSE&G proposed 12 electric projects totaling $708 million and 1 gas project totaling $140 million. As proposed, the program would include the replacement of aging overhead and underground electrical equipment, modernization of electrical distribution substation equipment, upgrading of gas metering and regulating stations, an installation of electric vehicle infrastructure, to support the company's transition to an electric fleet. By order dated December 15, 2021, the board retained the matter and designated Commissioner Mary Anna Holden as the presiding commissioner. Following extensive discovery and settlement conferences, the signatory parties executed a stipulation that would allow PSE&G to implement a 4-year, $511 million program, of which $351 million would be accelerated recovery and $160 million would be stipulated base, if approved by the board. On January 4th, 2022, the New Jersey Large Energy Users Coalition, an intervener in this matter, filed a letter with the board indicating that it did not oppose the stipulation. There is no additional bill impact on ratepayers associated with the stipulation. Any future bill impacts will be determined in the company's subsequent rate adjustment filings. Some key terms of the stipulation is that PSE&G's program will begin July 1st and end June 30th, 2026. PSE&G will maintain an average annual baseline capital expenditure level over the program of at least $325 million for electric investments and at least $250 million for gas investments. PSE&G can seek recovery of the revenue requirements associated with the plant placed in service through 4 annual cost recovery filings, with the cost being recovered through a new component of its electric and gas IIP tariffs. PSE&G will utilize its weighted average cost of capital from the most recently approved base rate case, and PSE&G will retain an independent monitor to review and report on the program. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the stipulation.
So moved.
Second. Questions, comments for Paul?
Just one question, just
Yes.
to remind us all when the next scheduled rate case is for PSE&G.
It is, I believe, January 2024.
Anyone else? Yes.
Well, you did a great job on this case and really putting it over the finish line. It just, I know to get it, so we could get it on this agenda, it took a lot of work and a lot of phone calls and agita, but you really did a great job in this, and thank you. I thought this was going to be a really interesting evidentiary case, but it didn't get to that level, but you really handled it very smoothly, so thank you.
Thank you for the kind words, Commissioner. It was a team effort, so I'd like to thank Heather Wiseman, Ryan Moran, and David Brown as well. So thank you.
Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes,
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Federlisi.
Yes. All right, 2E, Paul, Rockland Electric.
Sure. On June 28th, the board issued an order establishing a new solar incentive program, the Solar Successor Incentive Program, or the SUSI program, with the goal of incenting up to 3,750 megawatts of new solar generation by calendar year 2026. On December 7th, Rockland Electric Company filed a petition seeking approval to recover certain SUSI program administrator costs associated with implementing the SUSI program and proposed to recover the revenue requirements associated with the program as a new component of its regional greenhouse gas initiative surcharge. In the petition, Rockland sought approval to recover a revenue requirement of $403,371 associated with its pro rata share of the SREC 2 costs based upon projected amounts from February 1, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. The parties have executed a stipulation recommending establishing and incorporating a SUSI program rate as a component of the company's RGGI surcharge, utilizing the rates proposed in the petition. As a result of the stipulation, the annual bill impact on a typical residential customer is an increase of 16 cents. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the stipulation and direct Rockland to file tariffs by June 30th.
So moved.
second,
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Felice.
Yes. And 2F is similar,
Correct.
item for ACE.
Correct. I won't give you the June 28th background again, but I'll just go into this. On December 1st, 2021, ACE filed a petition seeking approval to recover certain SUSE program administrative costs associated with implementing the SUSE program and proposed to recover the revenue requirements associated with the program as a new component of its Rider Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative Recovery Charge, or Rider Reggie. In the petition, ACE sought approval to recover a revenue requirement of approximately $2.963 million associated with its pro rata share of the SREC 2 cost. Their petition was based upon projected amounts from February 1st, 2022 through February of 2023. The parties have executed a stipulation recommending establishing and incorporating a SUSE program rate as a component of the Rider Reggie, utilizing the rates proposed in the petition. As a result of the stipulation, the monthly bill impact on a typical residential customer is an increase of 26 cents. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the stipulation and direct ACE to file tariffs by June 30th.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Felice.
Yes. And 2G, Paul, PSE&G recovery on some community solar.
Sure. On May 28, 2018, the Clean Energy Act was signed into law, directing the board to adopt rules and regulations establishing the community solar pilot program. On August 29, 2018, the board approved the proposed pilot program rules, which were published in the New Jersey Register on October 1st, 2018, and were subject to a 60-day public comment period that closed on November 30th, 2018. Oddly, that's my birthday. On January 17th, 2019, the board adopted the pilot program rules on with no substantive changes, which were filed with the OAL, or the Office of Administrative Law, and published in the New Jersey Register on February 19th, 2019. The final pilot program rules provided the framework necessary for the development and implementation of community solar in New Jersey. On May 27, 2021, Public Service Electric and Gas Company filed a petition seeking approval to recover certain incremental costs associated with implementing the community solar energy pilot program and proposed to recover the revenue requirements associated with the pilot program as a new component of its Electric Green Programs Recovery Charge, GPRC tariff. In the petition, PSE&G sought approval to recover a revenue requirement of approximately $429,000, which included incremental information technology investments, rate credits, and operating and maintenance costs associated with the pilot program. The petition included actual costs from February 1, 2020 through April 30th, 2021. The parties have executed a stipulation recommending establishing and incorporating a pilot program rate as a component of the electric GPRC tariff, utilizing the rates proposed in the petition. As a result of the stipulation, the annual bill impact on a typical residential electric customer is an increase of 12 cents. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the stipulation and direct PSE&G to file tariffs by June 30th.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Just
Yes.
one comment, because, when we were going over this during the briefing, it doesn't always occur to us as commissioners, or I think even to the public at large, that when we, now have instituted new programs, you have pilots that come along, there are impacts on the existing utility companies, their infrastructure, that have costs associated with them. that, sometimes in the back of my mind, where we're so concerned about getting the program out, it doesn't occur to, the average Joe, so to speak, that there's, additional, sorry. Present company excluded, of course. That there's, costs inherent in doing some of these things. So, I just wanted to say that it does not go unnoticed to, us as a commission, and, just highlighting that as, something that's inherent as part of the process.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. 2H, Rockland's looking for some recovery too?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
September 1st. For calendar year 2022, and noted that the parties will continue to review all other issues. RICO made subsequent updates to the petition to reflect actual data through December 30th, 2021. The parties have now executed a stipulation recommending the board's previously approved administrative fee of $30 per SREC be maintained for the remainder of this calendar year, and that the Reggie surcharge applicable to the SREC 2 program be maintained at 0. There is no ratepayer impact as a result of the stipulation. Staff recommends that the board issue an order approving the stipulation and direct RICO to file revised tariffs by June 30th.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And finally, Paul, Cumberland
Yes.
County is fighting with Atlantic City Electric.
Yes, and I apologize in advance, this one's gonna be a little lengthy, so bear with me. The issue
We'll try.
before, so the issue before Administrative Law Judge Calguar and now the board is whether Atlantic City Electric Company or the County of Cumberland is responsible to cover the costs of relocating and de-energization of utility equipment for a public works project within a public right-of-way. By way of background, on March 8, 2019, the County of Cumberland filed a petition seeking declaratory ruling that the relocation of certain utility lines and poles were for the public benefit and that the cost should be paid by Atlantic City Electric Company. Initially, this matter involved 4 projects. However, 2 of the 4 projects were disposed of prior to ALJ Calguar issuing her initial decision. Thereby, the only remaining projects which were subject to the initial decision were the following: Burlington Road Culvert and Fortescue Bridge. After the filing of an answer to the counterclaim, on August 20th, 2019, the matter was transmitted to the OAL for determination as a contested case. Initially, this case was assigned to ALJ Dorothy Incarvito Garabrandt, who held 3 days of evidentiary hearings. However, prior to issuing an initial decision, ALJ Incarvito Garabrandt was named to the New Jersey Superior Court. On November 1st, 2021, the matter was reassigned to ALJ Calguar, and the parties agreed that additional evidentiary hearings were not necessary. On February 10th, 2022, the parties withdrew their request for relief and or resolved their disputes as to the Yank Marine and Willow Grove Lake projects. ALJ Calguar issued her initial decision on February 24th, 2022, regarding the Burlington Road Culvert and Fortescue Bridge projects, granting the relief sought by the County of Cumberland. On March 9th, ACE filed exceptions and
My
requested.
birthday.
Is that your birthday?
Yes, my birthday.
I'll put that in my calendar. And requested that the board modify or reject the initial decision. On March 17th, the county filed a response to ACE's exceptions and requested that the board adopt the initial decision. On April 6th, the board approved a 45-day extension until May 26th for staff to review the record and initial decision and for the board to issue a final decision. On May 18th, with the consent of the parties, the board approved the second 45-day extension until July 11th for staff to review the record and initial decision and for the board to issue a final decision. Staff agrees with the ALJ's decision and reasoning that the Burlington Road, Crowford, and Fortescue Bridge projects were public projects conducted for the benefit of the public within the public right-of-way. Additionally, staff agrees that the New Jersey High Voltage Proximity Act does not shift the burden of de-energizing away from the utility where it occurs in the public right-of-way on a public project that is also in the public right-of-way. Therefore, staff recommends that the board adopt the ALJ Calaguar's initial decision without modification.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments for Paul?
Just
Yes.
one, because we have
And
lengthy.
I might defer to
Yeah.
Heather Wiseman behind me, but
Yeah, I think she'll be okay with this, just in terms of, that this case had very distinct issues and that set it apart from, I think there's a similar matter that's now before Commissioner Gordon, I think is the hearing officer on, and this in no way should determine or predetermine the outcome in that case, that there was a very discrete issues with regards to this particular application, and we'll be viewing each of them independently as a board with whether and as to the parties that are responsible for covering these costs, correct?
yeah, they're two actually just, different matters. And this matter was more based on being in the public right-of-way. So, yeah, the other petition will be reviewed independently of this decision.
No.
Sorry.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Federico.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Paul. There are no items under cable television to review. We do have an item under telecommunications. Yolanda, hello.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Commissioners.
Oh, did you want to respond? Good morning, Yolanda.
Sorry, the mic wasn't on the first time. I wanted to make sure you heard me. This matter involves a petition filed by United Telephone Company of New Jersey, an affiliate of Lumen Technologies, seeking approval of a transaction whereby United will be purchased by Connect Holding, LLC, an affiliate of Apollo Global Management Incorporated, one of the largest alternative asset managers in the world. United operates as one of the Stage 3 incumbent local exchange carriers, or ILECs, providing telecommunications services to approximately 26,000 residential and business customers in the northwestern part of the state in Sussex and Warren counties. As part of a $7.5 billion deal, Apollo entered into an agreement with Lumen, United's parent company, to purchase its ILEC subsidiaries in 20 states across the country, including New Jersey. Following the transaction, Lumen will continue to operate as a competitive local exchange carrier, or CLEC, under its various subsidiaries, while its ILEC operations will be transferred to Connect Holding. Board staff and the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel conducted extensive discovery on the petition and filings, which petitioners provided detailed responses to. Subsequently, the parties engaged in settlement discussions, resulting in a stipulation of settlement signed by Rate Counsel, board staff, and the petitioners. The settlement includes a number of significant commitments agreed to by the petitioners that satisfy the statutory criteria required for board review, including the impact on competition, rates, employees, and the provision of safe, adequate, and proper service, as well as ensuring that the transaction will provide positive benefits to the state and consumers. Chief among the petitioner's commitments is Apollo's commitment to invest tens of millions of dollars of capital as well as substantial managerial resources to significantly expand the availability of symmetrical gigabit fiber to the premises, or FTTP, broadband service in United's footprint. United's current broadband offering mainly consists of low-speed copper-based DSL service, with only 1% of residences and 4.5% of business locations having access to high-speed services. Under the stipulation, the petitioners have committed to deploy fiber optic facilities to over 72,000 premises, approximately half of the premises served in the service territory, over a 5-year period. This commitment alone will extend high-speed broadband service to populations of the state which were previously unserved or underserved, helping to address the areas of the digital divide in our state that were highlighted during the pandemic. Other commitments include low-income offerings through the Federal Affordable Connectivity Plan, as well as standalone voice and broadband offerings, ensured continued maintenance of the existing copper facilities, reporting on decreases in employment levels, as well as pension and 401k plan protections for employees. While staff was concerned about Apollo's lack of experience as a utility provider, we noted that it has recruited an experienced management team to run United New Jersey following the transfer, including several former Verizon senior executives with extensive telecommunications experience, some of which have handled operations in New Jersey. Additionally, several members of the existing United New Jersey team will also continue to serve the new company following the transaction, ensuring that the transfer will be seamless for customers with no interruptions in service, nor any planned reductions in United's workforce. They've also pledged to continue to honor United's ILEC obligations and contractual commitments. Board staff has reviewed the petition, the discovery responses, and the settlement, and concludes that the proposed transaction, along with the commitments in the stipulation agreement, meet the statutory requirements, will result in positive benefits, and is in the public interest, and we therefore recommend approval. Before you vote, I'd like to also extend thanks to all the parties and Rate Council in working to reach this settlement to help bring these much-needed benefits to New Jersey customers. I'd also like to recognize the hard work of my staff at the OCTV&T, in particular Rocco Della Sera, Harold Bond, as well as our newest staff members, Elena Gonzalez and John Borman. Council's office, Lonnie Saldana and Carol Artali, and from the Division of Law, Stephen Chapler and Terrell Klein. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for the benefit of those listening, it is, could you describe in sort of plain English the kinds of benefits people are likely to see as a result of this transaction? You mentioned 75,000 households likely to see an improvement in broadband service.
I'm sure, Commissioner. Right now, because the United's footprint consists of the, I would characterize it as probably the most rural part of the state in the northwestern portion of Sussex and Warren counties, it is much more costly to provide high-speed fiber optic broadband service in those areas, and because of that, their current broadband speeds are, I'd say, a little better than probably dial-up at this point, and are mostly through what is termed DSL service, which is provided over the existing copper network. With these improvements and this funding commitment, these customers will now have access to high-speed broadband service, 100 up and 100 down gigabit service. So it is a vast improvement, definitely bringing this service to these customers in this area, which is very greatly needed.
Okay, thank you.
You know, it's interesting, we're seeing more transactions or more utilities being bought by non-utility entities. And this is just another instance of that. And it always, in my mind, raises a red flag. How long are they gonna keep it, you know, that type of thing, and so on. But in this particular case, I think it is vital for the people who are gonna get this service. And when we talk about underserved communities, we always think about our urban areas. We always think about those areas in our urban centers. But as far as broadband is concerned, the vast majority of the underserved areas are the rural areas. And again, in the state of New Jersey, we don't think of rural areas. We're the most urbanized state in the union. So it's rare, Northwest Sussex, Warren, parts of Hudson, Salem, and so on, that don't get the kind of internet service that you and I get on a daily basis. And this was illustrated during the pandemic, where people were working from home primarily. Children were learning from home primarily. And those underserved communities were deprived, in many cases, of those services. I hope through this, and I think we will, because your recommendations are generally on point, Luanda, and your fine staff's work is noticed in these instances, that we're making the lives of thousands of people better by providing them with the opportunity to utilize high-speed internet service. And it just doesn't always go to, look on Yahoo to see if the Yankees won or not. It connects people to health, education, and employment opportunities. There's a whole world out there that so many people don't have the opportunity to participate in. And hopefully actions like this will give them that opportunity, because we are committed here to broadband access to all New Jerseyans. And as a matter of fact, as you well know, we have a commission set up. The federal government is involved as far as finances and things of that sort are concerned. We'll be setting up an office dedicated to broadband accessibility, because this is vital in the 21st century. And we can't allow certain portions of our population here in the state of New Jersey to be denied the opportunity to use these services. So thank you and your staff for a job well done. Any other comments?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to commend Lavanda and her team for a great, this is a great deal, because New Jersey, when you look at New Jersey, people don't think New Jersey has rural places, and especially in the broadband mapping, New Jersey, we have challenges with that. And under the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, several $1 billion, and also emergency broadband program that had a lot of money that has been extended under the new name affordable connectivity program. FCC has nearly $15 billion for that, and I think Harold Bond and his team, they're going to be looking at a lot of the issues with respect to not only broadband access but also affordability. And I think the board should take some leadership in trying to connect those people, working with the DCA and other sister agencies, affordable connectivity program. I don't know whether it's going to be there forever, but I think we should reach to those people. They can benefit from that. It's $30, a program, $30 per month, and $100 for towards a laptop, and so I think that's a unique program that can be benefiting a lot of people. And under this deal, you have 72,000 people, remote areas. Some of these places are tough to get to, and you're able to get the fiber optics. That's great work. Thank you.
Any other comments? Questions? Roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Good,
President Frederico.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luanda. Before we go any further, I just want to make mention, before people start, filing out or whatever, that at the end of the meeting, and this may encourage you to stay, Commissioner Holden will be selling ice cream outside the doors of the conference room. So
Selling it, I thought we were giving it away.
This is for my birthday.
we got to make some bucks somehow.
I don't know.
There are no items under water, reliability and security, customer assistance, which then brings us to clean energy. Mr. Ferris, you're up. Now, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I'd have to say chocolate.
Chocolate, yeah.
Basic guy.
Got that, Commissioner?
I think we just pistachio.
Oh, we just have pistachio.
Pistachio's good too, though. Good morning, President and Commissioners. This matter regards approval of a contract amendment for the Rutgers University Department of Marine and Coastal Sciences, which I will refer to as Rutgers DMCS, to continue the work of the Center for Ocean Observing Leadership, which I will refer to as RU Cool. The original contract between the board and Rutgers DMCS had a performance period running from November 1st, 2017 through October 31st, 2018. The contract was previously amended by the board with no gaps in order for RU Cool to continue their work. The most recent amendment, approved by the board on March 24th, 2021, has a term ending on June 30th, 2022. The scope of work for this contract amendment term will continue RU Cool's stakeholder outreach engagement efforts, allow RU Cool to continue to operate, update, maintain, and validate the Rutgers University Weather Research and Forecasting Model, as well as maintain, collect, and analyze observational data from their existing coastal observation systems. Explore wind turbine wakes and how they influence overall power production, and allow staff to consult with RU Cool on an as-needed basis to support New Jersey's ongoing efforts to responsibly develop offshore wind. These efforts are being used to determine New Jersey's potential offshore wind energy distribution and can aid in improving forecasting of wind energy production, which supports the state's offshore wind efforts. Staff recommends that the board approve the contract amendment with Rutgers DMCS for the period from July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Are you cool?
Yes, we are. And, I just want to make one comment. The fact that RU Cool is one of the outstanding areas at Rutgers University that we have used time and time again. And as they've provided us with information that sometimes it's difficult to get, not from them, but to learn from them. And they seem to be right on top of things, so I fully support the recommendation, Jim, that you're making here, because I have been pleased in the information and the working relationship that we have with our new crew.
Thank you, Mr. President. Staff agrees with that feeling as well.
Any other comments, questions, roll call?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fidelisa.
Yes. And item B, Jim, is some kind of confrontation here.
Mr. President, Commissioners, this item regards a petition submitted by Ocean Wind LLC. As you know, Ørsted's 1,100 megawatt Ocean Wind project was the first New Jersey offshore wind project awarded by the board and designated as a qualified offshore wind project in June 2019. On May 20th, 2022, Ocean Wind filed a petition pursuant to NJSA 48:3-87.1F, legislation that was signed into law last summer. The petition seeks the board's determination that certain easements across properties owned by Cape May County and certain consents needed from the county for certain environmental permits in and with respect to the county are reasonably necessary for the construction or operation of the Ocean Wind project. Staff recommends that the board retain the Cape May County petition for hearing and designate a presiding officer for the proceeding. Staff also recommends that the board assign the County of Cape May as a necessary party in this proceeding. And staff further recommends that the board direct any entity seeking to intervene or participate in this matter to file the appropriate application with the board on or before July 15th, 2022.
I have designated myself as the presiding commissioner, and we'll see this through, and hopefully we can come to a conclusion that is beneficial to the citizens of New Jersey.
So
Questions?
moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fidelisa.
Yes. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Rossi, you're up. Obviously has something to do with the budget, huh? You have, let's start with item C.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. In the matter of the comprehensive energy efficiency and renewable energy resource analysis for fiscal year 2023 clean energy programs, staff is pleased to present the recommendations on funding levels. As the Commissioners are aware, the Electric Discount and Energy Competition Act required the board to initially undertake a comprehensive resource analysis, or CRA, every 4 years. Since 2012, this has been done on an annual basis, and for FY23, staff has drafted another one-year CRA. The CRA straw proposal includes the level of funding estimated to meet the needs of the New Jersey Clean Energy Program. For FY23, staff is recommending that the board set an SBC funding level of $344,665,000, which is the same funding level approved by the board since FY15. Staff is recommending that this funding be allocated across the energy efficiency programs, distributed energy resources programs, renewable energy programs, EDA programs, planning and administration, BPU initiatives, and state energy initiatives. When combined with the new funding and other sources of funds, which include prior estimated commitments carried over from FY22, the total new proposed FY23 funding level is $610,751,520. Staff estimates that the proposed FY23 funding level will be sufficient to maintain a full portfolio of programs. Having reviewed and considered the comments regarding the proposed FY23 funding level, staff recommends the board set, adopt, and approve the proposed FY23 funding level and proposed FY23 utility payments.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Comments? I think one of the things that have to be mentioned here is that the board takes this very, very seriously. We're talking about a lot of money, and money that is going to improve the lives of the citizens of the state of New Jersey. This money is spent prudently and carefully. And it's important, I think, that folks understand that. Because clean energy is one of the challenges. The mitigation of climate change is one of the challenges of our time. And it's important that we continue to support key programs like energy efficiency, as an example, offshore wind, solar. Programs that are going to eventually convert, change the way we generate energy here in the state of New Jersey. So it's vital that we proceed with a carefully crafted budget. And I want to thank you, Matt, and all the clean energy folks for a job well done in setting up this budget and so on. Any other comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Federer.
Yes. And item D, Matt?
Yes, the next agenda item addresses the clean energy programs and budgets planned for FY23. The New Jersey Clean Energy Program promotes increased energy efficiency and the use of clean, renewable sources of energy. The results for New Jersey are a stronger economy, less pollution, lower cost, and reduced demand for electricity. Staff is guided in the development of this budget and programs to meet the objectives set forth in various clean energy initiatives, including the Clean Energy Act, which places considerable emphasis on the important role of energy efficiency, in addition to requiring the transition of the solar program, as well as setting energy storage and benchmarking goals. The Offshore Wind Economic Development Act, and New Jersey's Electric Vehicle Act, among others. Staff is further led by the strategies detailed in the 2019 Energy Master Plan, which sets forth a roadmap for meeting the 100% clean energy by 2050 goals. Finally, staff's efforts are highly focused on equity and ensuring the benefits of clean energy and the clean energy economy are enjoyed by all residents. Based on the goals set forth in the CRA straw proposal, the policy objectives of the New Jersey Clean Energy Program, and historical spend rates, staff developed proposed programs and budgets. Staff has reviewed and considered the comments received and recommends that the board approve the proposed FY23 budget and compliance filings and the processes used to develop them.
So moved.
Second.
The comments I made at regarding the previous item really are the same for this particular item, and it really helps to promote the goals in the Energy Master Plan. And that's what they are, they're goals. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to achieve them tomorrow, but they are goals. And these goals are beneficial, will be beneficial when completed to the citizens of New Jersey. So here again, I think you're on the right track. another good job, and one that will continue to keep New Jersey in the forefront. I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting, but there was a Mid-Atlantic conference that many of my colleagues attended, NACWUC, out in western Pennsylvania, and it was an educational conference. They had a number of panels. They had an environment to learn. Well, one of the speakers, who happened to be a FERC commissioner, a recently appointed FERC commissioner, was extolling the virtues of the state of New Jersey and how New Jersey is leading the way to a clean energy future. And that's something all of us are involved in. Doesn't matter what division you're in. We're all involved in one way or another in promoting the visions of our energy master plan, which is being recognized nationally. And my understanding is there were hundreds upon hundreds of people at that presentation, am I correct? And they were hearing about New Jersey from a FERC commissioner. So we have a lot to be proud of. That doesn't mean we sit on our hands and say, okay, we've achieved everything we want to achieve. We're far from it. We have to continue to move forward. And many of the consultants have been a help to us, no question about it. Many outside agencies have been helpful to us, no doubt about it. We work closely with a company like TRC, who has helped us along the way, no doubt about it. But it's you who are doing it on a daily basis. I leave here sometimes and there are still people working at 8, 9 o'clock at night. You show me anywhere else in government people do that. So we have a lot to be proud of. You have a lot to be proud of. But we have to continue moving forward. And there are some of you, as I look out at this audience, who have been here a very long time. Doesn't mean you're old, it just means you've been here a very long time. And who are really at the infancy stage of these initiatives, particularly solar. And I'm looking at some of the Scott Hunter as an example. Almost at the start. And all of those folks who have come after. And again, it doesn't matter what division we're in. We're all in one way or another contributing to a better New Jersey. So, good job. And let's keep it moving. Did we do a roll call? We didn't.
Not yet.
Because I'm glad to hear.
Not yet.
Let's do roll call.
Sure.
Unless somebody else has something to say.
I just want to pile on one thing.
You can file whatever you want.
And it's because of the work of the board that we're able to go to MACRC and be the cheerleaders for New Jersey. And people are like, I didn't know you were doing that. I want to know more about it. And all of our panels were among the best evaluated at the conference. Some of the general sessions were real snoozes. I think the ones that we all took part in were really cutting edge, and people learned a lot from New Jersey, and that's thanks to all your work and helping us make us look good. So thank you.
I want to, might as well chime in. I spoke to Joe when I got back and was telling that there was a speaker there from Department of Energy, and I think Marianne, you were with me, and talking about different ways that we can be promoting programs that are more equitable and inclusive, and basically describing what we've done for years with respect to Comfort Partners and some of the other programs that we've had before those were even thoughts in anyone's heads or such. That's something that we were doing here at the board, and she would tick off these different items, and we'd sit there and say, yeah, we're doing that. We're already doing that. So it's not it's been cutting edge here at the board, not only recently, but with respect to a lot of the programs that we've initiated. And I pointed that out when we returned, that there's this really good work that we've been doing for a long time, and certainly I guess the feds are catching up, and it was a great thing to hear, and that we're continuing to move forward. So it really was a great conference for New Jersey, and for what I think we all provided at that conference.
Let's do a roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fernandez.
Yes, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Kelly, I think you're up. Yes.
Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioners.
Good morning.
On April 6, 2022, the board approved the State Energy Program Plan for the 2022-2023 program year based on an allocation of $1,474,770 in funding from the U.S. Department of Energy for the third year of New Jersey's current 3-year SEP plan. On April 20th, the U.S. DOE provided notice of an increase to New Jersey's 2022-2023 SEP plan program allocation in the amount of $11,340. The allocation for the 3-year SEP plan cycle thus increased from $4,240,620 to $4,431,960. In previous SEP program cycles, the board allocated $7,500 annually to training and conferences, for a total budget of $22,500 over a typical 3-year period. In the current 3-year SEP plan period, however, the board did not add to this market title last year due to COVID-19 restrictions. Now that these restrictions have eased, staff are able to attend in-person trainings and conferences once again. Staff recommends that the board allocate the additional $11,340 to the training and conferences market title for the 2022-2023 SEP plan program year, increasing that market title budget to $18,840 over the 3 years of the program cycle.
So moved.
Second.
And here again, it's vital, and I'm a firm believer in the fact that if we have the ability, whether to send staff to grade school or to conferences that Kelly's referring to, is extremely important. Not only to spread what we're doing, not only to brag a little bit. It's okay to brag when you have something to brag about, but also to learn. And we learned too. I mean, there are states, and I'll take California as an example, who, jumped in the pool, probably the first one to jump in the pool as far as clean energy is concerned. And they've made mistakes along the way. They've corrected many of them, but we've also learned from them, from the mistakes made. We're also learning from our European partners as far as offshore wind is concerned, who have been doing it for 25 plus years. So our minds are open, receptive, to do the best job we can by learning from those who have gone through it. So it's exciting to see the evolution that has really occurred at the Board of Public Utilities over the past few years. It's magnificent, it's exciting. And I guess that's why I stick around, because the excitement and the idea of coming to work and seeing, oh yeah, there are aggravating times. There are always potholes as you go down a road. But we overcome them because we have an awful lot of smart people on our staff who can figure out how to overcome them. Yes?
Just chime in, you're talking about conferences and trainings, and one of the things that was highlighted at MACRC also by from the Department of Energy, and they call it the bill, not the II, they call it the bill. It's all they're instituting a lot of training and programs, and I know your staff's probably taking advantage of those, but those are the types of programs, and there seems to be a whole variety of them. So I'm sure you are. I would urge you to go back and check. It sounds like they're trying to build up so that when we do put in these applications for these funds, that we're on top of what we need to include in there, so that we can get the largest allocation possible, or even to make recommendations should there be instances, and I know there have been, where maybe because we have been sort of ahead of the curve, they may not be looking to supplement us, so to be able to get our comments in and respond. So
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon.
yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Furlisa.
Yes. Thank you, Kelly. You don't look like Stacy Richardson to me.
Am I jumping the gun?
Wrong?
No?
I'm not Stacy Richardson.
We'll listen to you anyway.
We'll listen to you. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, President, Commissioners. This item relates to an application submitted by National Energy Partners for remote net metering at the city of North Wildwood. The Clean Energy Act of 2018 directed the board to establish an application and approval process to certify public entities to act as a host customer for remote net metering capacity within 120 days of enactment. In compliance with this directive, the board approved such a process and a public entity certification agreement by order dated September 17, 2018. On March 4, 2022, NEP submitted a remote net metering application for North Wildwood to the board secretary's office. The application included a fully executed public entity certification agreement and an interconnection application, Part 1, executed by the North Wildwood City Administrator as a representative of the customer generator. The certification agreement further specifies that the primary host account where the proposed 89.91 kilowatt solar electric generation facility will be located belongs to the City of North Wildwood. The agreement also indicates that the two host customer accounts will be serving as the receiving customer accounts, and lists the percentage allocation of credits from the proposed solar facility. Atlantic City Electric advised staff that it has reviewed the application and does not object to the applicant's request. However, Atlantic City Electric further advises that this position is contingent on the applicant's procurement of a transformer upgrade, and that it has communicated this condition directly with the customer. Staff makes the following two recommendations. First, staff recommends that the board find that the applicant has proposed a solar electric generation facility that is consistent with the size limits established by the board's September 2018 remote net metering order. And second, find that the proposed solar electric generation facility described in the remote net metering application satisfies the criteria set out by the board in the remote net metering order, and approve the public entity certification agreement for the North Wildwood project.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Scott? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Ferdolisi.
Yes, thank you, Scott. Kathleen Lewis, you're up. You must have something to do with electric vehicles.
One day I think I should surprise you, present something else,
I like surprises.
just for fun. Good morning.
Good morning.
Before you is a board order that relates to the FY22 $14 million that was provided to the board by the legislature for the purposes of creating programs to encourage EV charging infrastructure. The board utilized those funds to create and expand several programs, including EV tourism, clean fleet, and the multi-unit dwelling program. On May 18, 2022, the board reallocated funding to better reflect the interest in the EV tourism and MUD programs. Staff is recommending the reallocation of $1 million from the EV tourism program to the MUD program. If the board were to approve this proposal, all eligible applications in the FY22 Clean Fleet, EV tourism, and MUD program will be able to be funded. If this order were to be approved, the BPU is estimated to have spent approximately $10.8 million of the $14 million that the legislature appropriated in FY22. Staff recommends approval of the proposed reallocation.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Ferdolisi.
Yes, thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you.
And that brings us to miscellaneous item 9A. Kevin, you're up. So nice to see you.
Nice to see you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
I'll keep this brief because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm hungry for some ice cream from Commissioner.
It's in the freezer, so we're keeping it, you know.
Good morning. On December 20th, 2019, the board directed staff to hire an independent consultant to examine the examine the current and future natural gas capacity outlook for New Jersey. On May 20th, 2020, the board approved the scope of work and a request for quotation, and as a result, the board selected London Economics International, or LEI, as its independent consultant. On December 15th, 2022, the board released the redacted version of LEI's report entitled Final Report, Analysis of Natural Gas Capacity to Serve New Jersey Firm Customers for Public Comment. To quote the author, the key findings of LEI's analysis of potential shortfalls are that, yes, under the most likely set of future outcomes, sufficient natural gas capacity exists on the regional interstate pipeline system to meet the future peak demand forecasts for the peak demand forecast of New Jersey's GDCs. A stakeholder meeting was conducted on January 25th, 2022, with written comments accepted through February 8th, 2022. The stakeholder process focused on 3 areas. First, the conclusions of the LEI report. Second, the 8 non-pipeline alternatives identified in the report. And third, the best practices and playbook to be utilized during a gas capacity constraint. A total of 16 written comments were submitted and reviewed by staff. As a result, staff recommends the following. First, that the board accept the finding of the LEI report that through 2030, sufficient natural gas capacity exists on the regional interstate pipeline system to meet the future peak day demand forecast of New Jersey's GDCs. Second, to direct the gas distribution companies, or GDCs, to, in their future filings, consider NPAs if they are cost-effective and appropriate for their respective distribution systems. And third, to direct the Division of Reliability and Security to develop a best practices guide and playbook with the input and participation of the GDCs.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Kevin? Good job, Kim.
Thank you, sir.
Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendations, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fidelisa.
Yes, thank you. That is the final item on our agenda. Unless any of my colleagues have anything else they would like to say, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.